Everything Deion Sanders said in his press conference after blowout loss to Utah. When Deion Sanders walked into the press room following Colorado's crushing 53-7 defeat to the Utah Utes, there was no trademark smile, no swagger, and certainly no silver lining to dress up what had just happened. His tone was calm but cutting, his words sharp, his message unmistakable. This was the lowest point of his tenure at Colorado, and everyone, including himself, was under the microscope. The Buffaloes' trip to Salt Lake City turned into a nightmare from the opening whistle. Utah, led by veteran head coach Kyle Whittingham, completely dismantled Sanders' squad in every conceivable phase of the game. The numbers painted a brutal picture. 43-0 at halftime, 398 total yards for Utah by the break, and negative 18 yards for Colorado. By the end of the afternoon, Utah had 587 total yards to Colorado's 140, and the Buffaloes' season, once filled with promise, was suddenly teetering on collapse. And Deion Sanders, ever the competitor, didn't hold back. "He kicked my butt today." The first words out of Coach Prime's mouth set the tone for the rest of his post-game remarks. "I got a lot of respect for Coach Kyle Whittingham, and he kicked my butt today," Sanders said with a mix of humility and frustration. "It was a one-on-one between him and me, and he won by a significant margin. Love him, appreciate him, love his endurance, his longevity. The attitude of his team resembles the attitude that he has for himself." It was a rare admission from a coach who thrives on confidence. But even Sanders couldn't deny that Utah exposed just how far Colorado still has to go. He went on to summarize the defeat in the most brutally honest way possible. "This is bad. This is probably the worst beating I've ever had except for when my mama hooped me as a kid. For 122 yards rushing, you ain't winning. You're not winning. 300 yards, you're not winning. 250, you're not winning. It's not capable. Total offense 140 yards. You're not winning. They had 587 yards of total offense. You're not winning with that." It wasn't just the scoreboard or the yardage totals that enraged Sanders. It was the complete lack of execution, effort, and readiness that left him seething. Special teams gave up a fake punt as well as a blocked punt. You're not winning. So all three phases we got our butts kicked. A sideline boiling point wasn't pleasant. Throughout the game, cameras caught Deion Sanders in a heated exchange with defensive coordinator Robert Livingston. When asked about that sideline moment, Coach Prime didn't hide behind diplomacy. "Wasn't pleasant," he said plainly. No elaboration, no excuses, just an acknowledgement that tempers flared, and rightly so. On failing to stop the run, Utah didn't just run on Colorado, they bulldozed them. The Utes finished with 422 yards on the ground, averaging nearly 9 yards per carry. "We didn't do our jobs," Sanders said flatly. "We didn't prepare our kids profoundly." It was a stinging indictment of both his staff and his players, a reflection that the team was outplayed, outcoached, and overpowered. No way that should happen. One of the most alarming aspects of Colorado's collapse was that it came after a bye week. 2 full weeks to prepare. Sanders' frustration with that was evident. "The way we practiced, the way we prepared, there's no way that should happen. There's no way," he said. "The physicalness we exuded all week long. It's no way. The consistency. The only thing we were consistent in is, I guess, penalties, right? 2 penalties for 15 yards. I'm proud of that. That's about the only thing I'm proud of." For a coach who preaches discipline and focus, seeing his team so unprepared after ample time off was perhaps the bitterest pill to swallow. "They blitzed us to death." If there was one theme that carried through Deion's press conference and later into his locker room speech, it was the offensive line's inability to handle Utah's relentless blitz packages. "They blitzed us to death," Sanders said. "They're still blitzing us right now, and we inside. They're still blitzing us right now. And guess what? I just told them, be ready for next week. Cat's out of the bag. Be ready for it. Colorado quarterbacks Deion Sanders and Ryan Staub were sacked 7 times and hit countless more. The line, featuring 5-star freshman Jordan Seaton, looked confused and overwhelmed. Sanders made it clear that opposing defenses now have the blueprint to attack his team moving forward. On Deion Sanders' struggles, quarterback Deion Sanders, once hailed as a dynamic playmaker, endured a nightmare performance. He finished with just 37 passing yards and an interception before being benched in favor of Ryan Staub. When asked how difficult it was for Salter to operate under constant pressure, Deion's answer was simple but telling. It's difficult, he said. Short, restrained, but heavy with meaning. Sanders knew Salter was set up to fail behind a collapsing offensive line, but that didn't absolve the young quarterback from his share of accountability. On the difference between Utah and Colorado, one of the more revealing moments of the press conference came when Sanders was asked about the difference between the programs, between Utah's stability and Colorado's volatility. That's a great question. Stability in certain areas, Sanders said. But the thing about it is, those areas show up and offer glimpses of success. Sometimes you're just dumbfounded, man. You just look at this thing and think, wow, what happened? There's no way this should happen. That honesty, part admiration, part frustration, captured the state of Colorado football perfectly. Sanders' team has flashes of brilliance, moments that inspire hope, but no sustained foundation. Discipline and leadership, that starts with me. Discipline has been an issue for Colorado all season, from on-field penalties to off-field distractions. Sanders was asked if those issues in practice set the tone for the performance in Salt Lake. His response showed both defiance and accountability. Our guys don't care about that, Sanders said. The rest of the team, business as usual. That's life. They've been through high school, youth ball. Guys have done stupid things in life. For them, it's next man up. Another guy has an opportunity to get in there and do his thing. So that's what it was. They're not flustered or bothered by that. But when the conversation shifted to leadership, Sanders pointed the finger squarely at himself. That starts with me, he said. That starts with the coaching staff. Let's forget the players for a minute. Let's start at the top. I'm trying to figure what to do myself out. I really am. It was one of the more human moments from Sanders, a glimpse behind the bravado, a coach searching for answers. On bowl eligibility, we ain't thinking about no bowl. With the loss dropping Colorado to 3-5, bowl hopes are fading fast. But Sanders wasn't ready to even discuss postseason dreams. We ain't thinking about no bowl right now, he said. We're thinking about this moment. Let's grade this moment, let's figure out why this happened, and let's make sure the precaution that it doesn't happen again. But let's identify why. Let's identify the why first before we could move on and even think about something down the street. I'm not a down-the-street thinker. I'm a now guy. For Sanders, this was about confronting failure head-on, not escaping into hypotheticals about future success. No, not right now. Asked whether he was ready to flush the loss and move on, Sanders gave a blunt answer that said everything about his mindset. No, not right now. No. Can't you see my tone? He shot back. I love you guys. You guys are wonderful and I'm trying to be as pleasant as I can. But it is what it is. You know, I don't sugarcoat that. It is what it is. And we going to start with me. It was a rare moment of vulnerability wrapped in Coach Prime's signature honesty. On his halftime message, all this hoopla don't work unless you ball. Deion's halftime message to his team, though he claimed not to remember every word, was unmistakably fiery. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't pleasant, Sanders said, probably challenging them. But most likely I challenged them and identified them as a group to stand up and step up. All this hoopla, all this yaya, all this want to look good, it don't work unless you ball. We're in that kind of generation right now. Everybody want to look good, want to get paid. But you got to ball. You got to play. That constitutes that. And we've got to figure this out like now. Now. It was a message not just to his players, but perhaps to the entire college football world watching Colorado's saga unfold. That hype, nil money, and media buzz mean nothing if you can't win between the lines.